everybody. Welcome back to the Lone Lightworker podcast. I'm your host, Jen Rodriguez. We're so happy that you're here joining us today for a brand new episode. If you haven't already checked out our website and blog, check us out at www.thelonelightworker.com. It's a work in progress, and we're regularly updating our website, and we're so excited for what's yet to come. So please be sure to sign up for the newsletter to stay apprised of all of the latest and greatest. As those of you who have been listening know, we've been trying to spread the word and to get the word out about the Lone Lightworker podcast and Facebook and Instagram communities. I'm asking for your help. Please be sure to tell your friends and family about the Lone Lightworker, and please be sure to connect with us on Facebook and Instagram if you haven't already. As a thank you for helping to spread the word about the Lone Lightworker, we are so excited to announce a monthly giveaway. So be sure to follow the Lone Lightworker on Facebook and or Instagram, or you can sign up and connect with the Lone Lightworker newsletter on our blog and website. Then from there, each month, we're going to draw the name of one of our supporters and give them just a small token of our appreciation. One last reminder, please remember that we're doing our 30-day Shine Your Light Challenge. We often fail to recognize the small instances of beauty and blessings that are all around us. So we're making a point to recognize it all. Click the pic, tag the Lone Lightworker, and then use hashtag Shine Your Light to help us spread love and light in this world, starting with ourselves and with recognizing the little bits of light that are all around us. Have you ever looked at other people and felt a sense of envy? Envious of the fact that they seem so happy, or because they seem to have it so together. They have nice things and a life that appears to be everything that yours isn't. A life that maybe you even wish you had. I know there have been couples I've looked at before and thought, wow, they look so in love and so happy, so perfect. And I've looked at others and wondered, how do they afford to have such nice things or such a comfortable life? It's easy to envy others, especially if and when we aren't feeling completely satisfied or fulfilled with our lives for whatever reason. The truth is, many of us have been there at one point in time or another, and it's not a good feeling. Why would or should we spend our time and energy admiring others rather than being grateful for what we have and for the ways in which our lives have turned out? There are different reasons behind that envy, which may ultimately help us determine why we find ourselves doing it, and more importantly, to identify what we can do to stop it dead in its tracks. We're people, and we're human. So, of course, it's highly likely that we may have envied someone or something at least some point in our lives. And we know we're not supposed to envy others. Our parents taught us, our pastors and preachers and teachers have taught us. Well, maybe some of us paid more attention to the Sunday school lessons than others. So why do we envy others? Interestingly, there are a couple different types of envy. There's malicious envy and there's benign envy. Malicious envy is typically focused on the person and is often associated with feelings of resentment, ill will, sometimes and honestly, maybe even wishing for the worst for that person. Whereas benign envy, on the other hand, is typically more general. Those experiencing benign envy typically want the best and want good things for the other person. It's just more so about being jealous or wanting what that person has. Where malicious envy would target the person, benign envy would be more about the feeling or object that other person wished they had. We're going to get down and dirty with some of the potential reasons we may have experienced this in the past, and hopefully that will help us to avoid future instances of this ugly trait. ToKnowMyself.com published an article, Why Do People Envy Others? And the first reason they give is because of emotional wounds. They go on to explain that information and feelings come to us either through an internal source, such as our heads or our hearts, or they may come to us from external sources. ToKnowMyself.com wrote, people who have emotional wounds don't feel bad all the time, but they just remember the wounds whenever they encounter something that reminds them of their wounds. When I was at my heaviest, I didn't feel great about myself. In fact, I felt really crappy about myself at times. And when my friends or family members then lost weight, the weight that I had wished I had been the one to lose, it reminded me that I was a fat ass and that I wasn't content or comfortable with myself. And it wasn't something that was always at the forefront of my mind. I'd get busy with other things, or I'd have days in between where I felt especially cute. It wasn't until I was reminded of the fact that I was fat or obese that it bothered me so much. Some days it may have been that busted zipper that reminded me, and other times it may have been the family gathering where everyone was complimenting and congratulating that relative of mine for their amazing transformation. Instantly, I went to feeling as though they must notice that I've gained weight, since they noticed that she lost it, and they must think that I look terrible. I had a benign sense of envy where I was happy for that relative of mine because I want good things for them. But if I was being honest with myself, I was also envious and jealous of them, of the fact that they had managed to lose that weight. They managed to look good and feel good, and I was here looking like crap, feeling horrible about myself. I wanted that to be me that was looking good and feeling hot. Another possible reason for those envious feelings is due to thoughts or feelings of being inferior to someone or something else. Feelings that what we have or what we're able to do is less than what the other person is capable of. Many of us often compare ourselves to others, and even if and when we don't mean to. And when we're comparing ourselves, it's only natural to notice what they have that you don't, or what they're able to do that you can't. We compare, and that often results in feelings of inadequacy. CuriousIntellect.com indicated another possible reason for those feelings of envy as being attributed to our perception of what's fair and with being concerned with the equity or inequity in any given situation. Think about your coworker and the fact that they received a much bigger acknowledgement than what you received, even though you feel as though you made an equally important contribution. Or maybe you feel that yours was an even bigger accomplishment, yet you got the short end of the stick with the praise and recognition that you never received. We often then find ourselves experiencing thoughts and feelings of, it's not fair, or I did more, or I did better. We didn't feel that we were treated fairly, and now envious feelings are very much present, and likely now contributing to an ongoing sense of jealousy, or maybe even creating a sense of competition, unhealthy competition. Anyone who's spent any amount of time or frustration dealing with feelings of envy knows how damaging that can be, not only to us, but also to the relationships that are important to us. Allowing ourselves to stay immersed in those feelings of envy not only costs us those important relationships, it also keeps us from fully recognizing and appreciating our own accomplishments and our own potential. We're so focused on what we don't have or how we fall short that we're not only zapping any and all motivation that we may have had, but we're also further cementing the low self-esteem issues that we are no doubt experiencing. Lifehack.org reminds us that the reality is that there's always somebody who's going to be smarter, better, or stronger. And if we can't come to accept and truly understand that there will always be someone who can do something better than us, then we'll never truly understand or even recognize that that doesn't mean that we can't still accomplish and experience amazing things as well. We're too focused on them rather than focusing on our potential, our gifts, and our blessings. So how do we actually stop envying others? None of us enjoy feeling envious of others, do we? But to actually change the behaviors, what do we do? BecomingMinimalist.com published a helpful guide to overcoming envy, and they outline 7 steps that we can all take to help put our envious habits to bed once and for all. Number 1, shift your focus to the goodness in your life. Basically, they're telling us to stop focusing on the other person, situation, or thing, and instead focus on the gifts and blessings in your life. Take inventory of all of the amazing skills, abilities, and traits that make you amazing, and recount them over and over until you truly begin to recognize and believe all of it. Make a point to see and recognize the greatness in your own life. Number 2, stop comparing your life with others. We all need to stop comparing because there is no comparison. None of us are the same. We all have different stories and upbringings, and we're all in different situations. We also have different gifts and talents, so focus on you and leave them to focus on themselves. We all have work to do, each one just a little different. Number 3, avoid people who habitually value the wrong things. We need to pick the people who place value on the important things, the things that truly and legitimately matter. Forget about the braggers. They're likely just trying to compensate for their own shortcomings and struggles. So let them focus on themselves and let them learn their life's lessons in due time. You focus on the people who value the right things, such as love, compassion, forgiveness, being genuine. Those individuals not only likely spend their time focusing on the things that truly matter, but they'll probably also help motivate you to do the same. Number 4, spend time with grateful people. Right along the lines of the last one, surround yourself with individuals who have positive attitudes and those who actually know, practice, and ultimately show you what gratitude looks like. Surround yourself with people who will inspire and motivate you to be a more humble, a more kind, compassionate person. Those are the things that matter most. Number 5, understand that marketers routinely fan the flame. Look all around you and you will see that there are people and companies who absolutely encourage envy. Have you ever seen a commercial? Have you seen one probably in the past week? Chances are you've seen a commercial that made you think or wish, if even just for a second, that made you want to be more like them. I am overall a pretty plain and simple kind of gal. I don't wear a lot of jewelry, and what I do wear is not expensive or fancy in any way. I have a very simple, standard little gold wedding band. Mind you, that we could barely afford when we decided to get hitched spur of the moment 18 years ago. Through the years, especially as Valentine's Day or Christmas were approaching, here come all the commercials trying to convince us that if he loves us, he'll surprise us with the very expensive diamond ring or the brand new luxury car with the red bow magically in our driveway to surprise us on Christmas morning. If I'm not getting those kinds of gifts, then I must be doing something wrong. right? Or maybe I'm not loved that much. I'm not even going to lie. There have been times where I then looked down at my simple little wedding band and thought, but I want more. I want to be loved like that. There were times where I wanted that luxury car. And why? Because it looked nice and because it was, after all, a luxury car. So it tells people I have good taste and suggests that I'm doing well in this life without actually having to brag about it, right? Ugh. Let's be real. That couple on TV isn't really even a couple. And I've known more than a few real couples over the years that didn't make it and ended up in divorce, even though he put that expensive ring on her finger. It's called marketing, and that's exactly what they're hoping to get out of us. Because when I tell my husband that real love means a much bigger, fancier ring on my finger, he's highly likely to go out and buy that for me. And now they have just made another sale, and our love is likely no different than it was before we got ourselves into unnecessary debt. Those things don't matter, and I'm not going to let people, especially salesmen, try to convince me otherwise. Number 6, celebrate the success of others. Be genuinely happy for others and stop comparing yourself to them. There is more than enough to go around, seriously. We can all rock it, and we can all support and help each other in doing so. Feeling jealous or envious of someone else isn't going to do anything for you besides hurt you and possibly hurt them. We're all in this together, and we should want everyone to succeed, right? We would all benefit from understanding and practicing that just because they succeed doesn't automatically mean that you fail. Number 7, be generous. Get comfortable and used to being generous. It may even be forced initially, but the more you do it, the easier and the more natural it will come for you in the future. And eventually it won't have to be something you force yourself to do. It will be a changed behavior that has become more natural and like second nature to you. Plus, by helping others, we often recognize just how good we really do have it. Remember that point we made earlier of remembering that someone will always be better or smarter than you? Well, this might be an example of how you are also going to encounter people, and that sometimes you will be that person for them. John may have just bought that brand new Corvette that he lets everyone know about. But then when you meet Michelle, who has no home and has been sleeping in a cardboard box, kind of helps to put things into perspective for you. And suddenly you realize or recognize that you have a home and a bed, and John's expensive car is no longer worth comparison. We've all been green with envy in the past, some more than others. I'm sure I'll experience it again at some point in my life. But we can learn and grow, and we can absolutely get to a point where it happens fewer and further between. When we no longer have to worry about wanting what others have or worrying that someone is smarter or prettier or funnier than we are, it creates more time and more space to focus on all that we do have and all the ways in which we are whole and perfect. Put one foot in front of the other and do your best to turn around those toxic thoughts of envy. Your heart and your inner light will thank you for it. With that, I thank you for being with us today, and I look forward to meeting you back here next week for an all-new episode of The Lone Lightworker. Please be sure to subscribe. Please connect with the Lone Lightworker Facebook and Instagram communities, and please spread the word about the Lone Lightworker. Until then, keep shining your light and keep spreading the love.